Los Angeles, 1973. The air inside the gym was thick with sweat and ambition. That year, Muhammad Ali posed a deceptively simple question to Bruce Lee. Could you beat me in a fight? What followed wasn't bravado. It wasn't trash talk. It wasn't even about violence. Bruce's reply was so piercing, so unexpectedly philosophical, that Ali, the most talkative champion alive, fell silent for 10 full minutes. No rhymes, no jokes, just contemplation. Because Bruce didn't answer the question, he dismantled it. The setting. July 1973, Los Angeles. Ali was sharpening himself for his rematch with Ken Norton. He was at his athletic zenith, quick, luminous, untouchable. Bruce was filming Enter the Dragon, the film that would ignite his global superstardom. Tragically, he would pass away a month later, never witnessing its eruption across the world. They trained at the same gym, a crossroads of celebrities and competitors. They had exchanged nods before, mutual respect, different galaxies. Ali belonged to boxing, Bruce belonged to martial arts and cinema. Until one afternoon, those galaxies collided. The question. Ali was working the heavy bag when Bruce walked by. "Hey Bruce," Ali called out, "come here a minute." Bruce approached, compact, lean, about 5'7", 135 pounds. Ali towered over him, 6'3", 215 pounds of sculpted heavyweight. The contrast was almost theatrical. Ali grinned, playful, curious. "I've been watching you train. You're fast, real fast. But tell me something, could you beat me in a fight?" Half jest, half inquiry, entirely confident. After all, Ali was the heavyweight champion of the world. Bruce was an actor who choreographed combat. Bruce didn't answer right away. He studied Ali, then said quietly, "That's the wrong question." Ali smiled dimmed. "What do you mean, wrong question?" "You're asking if I could beat you," he replied, "but you haven't examined what that question actually contains." He continued, "In a boxing match, under boxing rules? No, absolutely not. You are the greatest boxer alive. In your world, I couldn't touch you." Ali nodded. That made sense. But Bruce wasn't finished. "In a real fight? No rules? Life or death? Probably. Not because I'm greater, but because I've trained for that context. You've trained for yours." Now Ali was listening, truly listening. The deeper strike. "But here's the real inquiry," Bruce said. "Why does it matter?" Ali started to reply. Bruce gently raised a hand. "You want to know if you're the greatest fighter alive, but you already know you're the greatest boxer. Why must you be the greatest at everything?" Silence crept in. "I think," Bruce continued, "you're not afraid I could beat you. You're afraid there might exist someone, somewhere, better at something than you, and that fear is asking a question that has no satisfying answer." Ali sat down. The gym continued its rhythm, gloves thudding, ropes whipping, trainers shouting, but inside that small pocket of space, there were only two men and a dismantled ego. "Keep talking," Ali murmured. "You're a heavyweight champion," Bruce said. "I'm a 135-pound martial artist. It's like asking if a lion could defeat a shark. The answer depends on the environment. In water, the shark reigns. On land, the lion dominates. Neither proves superiority, only context." "So there's no answer?" Ali asked. "There's a better question," Bruce replied. "Not who wins, but what are we each mastering? You're mastering boxing, I'm mastering unrestricted combat, but ultimately we're both trying to master ourselves." That was the pivot. 10 minutes of silence. Ali had spent his life proving he was the greatest boxer. Somewhere along the journey, the hunger expanded. He felt compelled to be the greatest fighter, the greatest athlete, the greatest man. That need became a cage. For 10 minutes, he said nothing. Not wounded, not angry, recalibrating. Bruce sat beside him comfortably. He understood that certain truths require silence to metabolize. Finally, Ali spoke. "So I've been asking the wrong questions?" "No," Bruce said gently. "You've been asking the right questions for boxing, but now you're applying boxing logic to life, and life has no referees. What are the rules then? There aren't any. The only enduring skill is adaptability." Ali nodded slowly. "Like water." Bruce's eyes brightened. "Exactly. Water yields, yet it erodes mountains. It doesn't fight obstacles, it surrounds them. Flexibility is not weakness, it is quiet power."
They talked for an hour. About exile, about pressure, about being black in America, about being Asian in Hollywood, about carrying the weight of representation. Ali spoke of losing his title, of being expected to embody civil rights, religion, rebellion, all at once. Bruce spoke of typecasting, of being deemed too Chinese for Americans and too American for Chinese audiences. They recognized in each other a shared paradox, celebrated and constrained by the very qualities that made them luminous. Before parting, Ali asked once more, "So honestly, could you beat me?" Bruce smiled. "In a phone booth? Yes. In a boxing ring? No. In an open field with no time limit? We'd probably exhaust ourselves and call it even." Then he added, "But neither of us needs to defeat the other to validate our mastery." "And if someone forced us to fight?" Ali asked. "Then both of us would lose," Bruce answered. "Because when two masters clash for ego, the world forfeits something irreplaceable. It's like asking Picasso to fight Shakespeare." Ali laughed softly. "You think I'm a master?" "You're Muhammad Ali," Bruce said. "Of course." "And you're Bruce Lee." They shook hands. It was the last time they would meet. Bruce died weeks later at just 32. The revelation. Ali never spoke publicly about that exchange. Years later, in the 1990s, his close friend Jim Brown asked him about it. He had seen Ali sitting in silence that day, something unheard of. "What did Bruce say to you?" Brown asked. Ali reflected for a long time. "He told me that being the greatest at one thing doesn't require being the greatest at everything. The urge to dominate every arena, that's ego, not greatness." "That shut you up for 10 minutes? "No," Ali said. "Realizing he was right did." The story remained private until 2013, when Brown finally shared it. Ali had requested discretion. It felt sacred. When the account surfaced, people debated the wrong angle. Who would win? They were repeating Ali's original mistake. The story was never about victory. It was about reframing greatness. Bruce refused to compete on the terrain of ego. He proposed a different paradigm, one where mastery eclipsed dominance, where respect surpassed conquest. That philosophy lingered with Ali. In the late 1990s, weakened by Parkinson's, he was asked who the greatest fighter he ever saw was. He wrote, "Me in boxing, Bruce in fighting. Different questions. Even in physical decline, the lesson endured." The meaning. This was never a tale of combat. It was a meditation on power, on identity, on the quiet terror of not being supreme at everything. Bruce didn't defeat Ali. He liberated him from a narrower definition of greatness. Sometimes the most profound victories occur not in the ring, but in the mind. Ali asked if Bruce could beat him. Bruce answered by showing him that mastery is not about vanquishing others, it's about refining oneself. And those 10 minutes of silence? They were not defeat, they were evolution. Years passed. Titles were won, titles were lost. Empires rise, empires fall. Even legends bend to time. But that conversation in 1973 never dissolved inside him. When Parkinson's began to still Muhammad Ali's body, it did not still his memory. His hands trembled, his speech slowed to a whisper. The once thunderous voice that had shaken press conferences and arenas around the world now struggled to form simple syllables. Yet something inside him had grown quieter long before the illness, less combative, more reflective. People noticed it. The bravado softened into wisdom, the rhymes turned into measured pauses, the need to dominate every conversation gradually dissolved. Those who were close to him said there was a shift after the 1970s, a subtle recalibration. He still declared himself the greatest, but the tone carried less defiance and more understanding, as if he finally knew what the phrase truly meant. In interviews late in life, when asked about legacy, Ali no longer spoke first about knockouts or championships. He spoke about purpose, about standing for something, about faith, about love. It was as though the ring had once been his universe, and then suddenly it became just one room in a much larger house. The idea Bruce had planted, mastery over dominance, had taken root. Ali began to understand that greatness was not universal supremacy, it was alignment. Boxing was his instrument, speed was his gift, courage was his currency. But he did not need to conquer every arena to validate his worth. That realization brought peace. And perhaps that was the real knockout. Not Foreman falling in Zaire, not Frazier collapsing in Manila, not Liston stunned in Lewiston, but ego stepping aside for clarity. When Bruce Lee died in July 1973, the world mourned a martial arts pioneer, a cinematic revolutionary. Few knew that weeks earlier he had delivered one of his most precise strikes, not with a fist, but with a question that disarmed the most confident man on earth. Years later, as analysts and fans endlessly debated hypothetical matchups, boxer versus martial artist, ring versus street, they missed the essential point. The story was never about violence, it was about vocabulary. Ali had defined greatness as being the best. Bruce redefined it as becoming the best version of yourself within your discipline. Two entirely different pursuits.
Imagine the humility required for a man like Ali to sit in silence for 10 minutes. This was a man who could talk through punches, who could rhyme under pressure, who could turn fear into theater. And yet that day, he chose stillness. Because wisdom does not shout, it settles. In the twilight of his life, when cameras flashed at the 1996 Olympics and he lit the torch with trembling hands, the world saw fragility. But beneath that fragile frame was a man who had long ago wrestled with a deeper opponent, the need to prove himself beyond his calling. He had already won that fight. The story of Ali and Bruce is not about who would win in combat. It's about two masters recognizing each other without insecurity. No scoreboard, no referee, no belt. Just mutual regard. If there is a lesson inside that Los Angeles gym, it is this. The wrong question can imprison you. The right question can liberate you. Could you beat me? Seeks hierarchy. What am I meant to master? Seeks purpose. One breeds rivalry, the other breeds growth. Ali once said he was the greatest. History agrees. Inside the ropes. Bruce never claimed such a title. He simply pursued refinement until it radiated from him. Different paths, different arenas, different definitions. And that was enough. Perhaps that is why Ali's silence that day still echoes louder than any punch he ever threw. Because sometimes, the most powerful sound in the room is the moment a champion realizes he no longer needs to win every fight to remain great.